Welcome to the Friday podcast. Spark one.
We out here to get fucked up. Everywhere. We can't seem to get enough. Cups up, blunts up. We out here to get wasted. Party like a politician or a rock star. I'm wasted. Bottles up. Like
Friday, y'all.
We out here everywhere. We can't seem to get enough. Cups up, blunts up. We out here to get wasted. Party like a politician or a rock star. So wasted. Lose your mind, your heart, your soul. Nah, really just lose control. Top flight, that good life might make you think you was on satellites. That modern man, she dished the pipe. Like Thanksgiving is eat it all night. Runs from everybody like, look, there they come. Girl, you sound tight when you bite your tongue. Sounds so right like a joke in the fun. Fresh like a mess with time. Some guess one too many times. I go harder than the red. Fire us up, light us up. We out here to get fucked up. Everywhere, everywhere. We can't seem to get enough. Cups up, blunts up. We out here to get wasted. Party like a politician or a rock star. I'm wasted. Bottles up, light us up.
Right now it is 8:20 p.m. on the 8/20/2020 August 20th, 2020. 8:20 p.m. baby. Shout out to them 80s babies and everybody else as well. As you can see, for those who are returning fans, I don't have my usual background behind me. I'm where the iPod usually records at. So welcome. As you can see, there's like a library behind me. Still format today. I'm kind of freestyle. I'll get back to the timing stuff on our next episode probably. We'll continue with that, with me breaking down that show with time travel and the history and the conspiracies, Illuminati and all that stuff, you know what I'm saying? But for right now, I was looking at this book called Angels, Demons, and Gods of the New Millennium, right? And as many musings on modern magic by Lon Milo Duquette. So it seems interesting. I haven't read it, but I was flipping around, and one of the first things I saw is that we are currently in the Age of Aquarius, right? So I am an Aquarius, but the Age of Aquarius is from the year 2000 to the year 4166. The gods of one. I'm reading directly. This is page 105 from this book. All right. Thank you for tuning in. The gods of one age become the devils of the age to follow. The priests look forward to the coming age and see only the end of the world. Interesting. Very, 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 very interesante. So that was in italics. All right. So I continue on, and it says in regular font, not being endowed with the gift of prophecy, I will not presume to predict the details of Aquarian age worship. I will nonetheless venture to predict that the gods of the Aquarian age will be diametrically opposed to the god of the age of Pisces. Already all over the world, we see the decay of the repressive patriarchal establishments that have held sway for the last 2,000 years. It is almost comical to see how foolish and myopic the old establishments appear when juxtaposed with the rational goals of universal human rights, the women's movement, and global environmental awareness. I suppose it is very natural for the participants of a revolution to despise and demonize the icons of the overthrown administration. Hold on. When was this book written? Because this shit is on point, boy. Boy, style. Oh, this thing was signed. Let's see. see, The Tree of Life. I'm just trying to see when was this published. Sorry, y'all. But it's got all these different years, like from 1904, 1967. Maybe it's on the last page. Well, since 1975, Duquette has served as a national and international governing officer of Order Templi Orientis. Well, this book came out after 1995. Okay. That took a while. Let me just take a hit real quick because that took a minute. Right now, just so y'all know, Uranus is in retrograde. But be positive, you know what I'm saying? Just stay positive and positive things will happen. You gotta put out positive as well.
Skinny's fuck, bad luck since I'm the baddest. If your world's your friend, then God's your enemy. So fuck the whole world, cause I won't pretend to be. So I steady get high, I wanna get fly, I wanna get right, I wanna get tight, I wanna get blazed, I wanna get phased, I wanna get dazed in a sticky purple maze, I wanna get thrown, I wanna get saved, I wanna get slow, I wanna get raised, I wanna get high, I wanna get by, chill up on that cloud nine so high in the sky. Y'all, you don't understand, to be the only man walking on this earth as cold as I am. So I gotta smoke herb just to get like a nerd. I'ma concentrate, elevate, and get brain by her. I'm on a train up a mountain, drinking liquor from the fountain. Reduced to the thousands, the millions, the billions, the government, civilians, the cars, the buildings, the pain, the sorrow. Matter of fact, all feelings I get numb like Novocaine soldier in my fucking veins. Hard enough survivors.
Alright. So, we are in the Age of Aquarius, and I am an Aquarius, and that is probably a coincidence. Let's see. So let's see. Where did I start? The early Christian church perpetrated the legend that at the moment of Christ's birth, all the oracles of antiquity fell silent, and that an Egyptian sailor named Thamus heard an unearthly voice call to him from the Isle of Paxi, announcing, "Thamus, the great god Pan is dead." As historically dubious as this story is, it serves to illustrate my point, says the writer. Pan, who started life as the endearingly mischievous god of Thracian shepherds, eventually became the transcendent symbol of all the pagan gods. His ruddy complexion, horns, and cloven hooves became, in the age of Pisces, the very image of Satan, the prince of evil. Does this mean that Jesus Christ will become the devil of the age of Aquarius? Probably not. But the spiritual significance of his deity will, in all likelihood, be drastically different from that expounded by the exoteric doctrines the last 2,000 years. And it will surely appear to the last vestiges of the Piscean age establishments that the new spiritual impulse is anti-Jehovah, anti-Allah, anti-Christ, and the gods of the new age are devils. Wow. So let's go back, because it says whenever Thamus, the great Pan, god Pan, is dead, it goes down to a little, whatever those are called. And it says, the all-great Tammuz, the Babylonian sun god who was killed by evil forces, but eventually resurrected by his mother/wife Ishtar, i.e. the reason that we have Easter, was worshipped throughout the Mediterranean well into the Christian area. Just as Christendom drapes its churches in black and laments the crucifixion of Jesus on Good Friday, the holy mantra Thamus Pan Megas Tetnet something, the all-great Thamus is dead, was ceremonially chanted on the summer solstice by the devotees of Tammuz to observe the yearly death of their redeemer, god, and shepherd. It's far more likely that if Thomas the Sailor heard anything, it was this well-known chant for the worship of Pan remained alive and well for 2 centuries after this alleged epitaph. Interesting. Some of that went over my head, so some of it stuck in my brain. And it continues. After years of isolation on the Amanita Muscaria rich isles of Patmos, St. John the Divine wrote down his vision of the awesome and terrible events which went to characterize the end of his age. This revelation was peopled with many strange and colorful spiritual personages, such as the 7 angels, the 4 horsemen, the lamb, the lion of Judah, an eagle, locusts, a woman clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet, a great fiery dragon, the serpent called the devil, and Satan, the archangel, Michael, wild beasts, one from the sea, one from the earth, and perhaps the most colorful character of all, Babylon the Great, mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. It is she who becomes drunk on the blood of the martyred saints, an act that serves as a catalyst to the climactic defeat of the enemies of the Lamb. Those who know about adrenochrome and shit, this sentence sticks out because it says, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. It is she who becomes drunk on the blood of the martyred saints. I wonder if these children who are being tortured and raped, which is part of torture, and when they're killed, they're obviously saints, right? There is such a thing as a saint. What's more saintly than a child who was killed, innocent, martyrdom, you know? It's really sad. And I also heard on another podcast, on the Sam Tripoli podcast, that Lilith is the reason why people started sacrificing kids, was for her, Adam's first wife. And I want to talk about that more on the Odd Pod, but because I got to do some studying on that. Her. Yeah. As is often the case when one explores Kabbalistic literature, the villains of the exoteric narrative become the heroes of the esoteric interpretation, and vice versa. I'm gonna read that again. As is often the case when one explores, it's spelled with a Q, but it's Kabbalistic literature. The villains of the exoteric narrative become the heroes of the esoteric interpretation, and vice versa. Normally, at the beginning of each cycle, the gods of the New Age will appear at first somewhat sinister. The more one is committed to the magical formulae of the Old Age, the more strange and evil the new gods will appear. Keeping in mind the fact that John, or whoever wrote the book credited to him, was sensitive to the spiritual changes at the dawn of the Piscean Age. Can we in all fairness expect him to be an unbiased interpreter of the prophetic images that symbolize the forces that would in 2,000 years bring the age of his beloved Savior to an end? Perhaps for us, the whore of Babylon, the great dragon, or even the beast 666 are perfectly wholesome spiritual personifications of the mechanics of the growth spurt of a new age. Wow. Wow. So that's basically saying, what if all that negative shit is actually an interpretation that seemed negative to him or whoever saw it, but it's actually positive? And that's what a theory I had of Revelations. Man, interesting. We'll be right back. Let's try to hit up the sponsors. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You try to put their links in the bio.
I'll take one hit, got my head straight spinning. Flying like a rocket, I go hard for these women. My room floor filled with delicate linens, high heels, low heels, and all kinds of denims. I'm lost in it, like I don't wanna leave. Call me the dark knight at midnight, I feed a thoroughbred steed. I'm a thoroughbred G. I get hit on the highway to my place indeed. Hypnotize and mesmerize and satisfied with that. I hit them home runs with my baseball bat. Break me off a piece of that sweet Kit Kat. Hit the star, look, that's where we at. Gather more, put them in the jar and light it up. Now I'm really far, I'm falling higher, and I'm zoned out, girl. Feeling on your booty, and it's always happy endings like we in the movies. That bomb got me, that bomb got me, that bomb got me in another world.
Shout out to Crystal.
That bomb got me.
Shout out to my sister, my family, my homies. Shout out to Tiffany Gomez and Creative Nutrition and Stacey Adams at Day Plug.
She got me daydreaming like a beautiful nightmare. You know I stay feeling so sorry. My house like Big Macs. She talk, but I get that. I get her higher than money stacks and wet like comebacks. I damn near jump back when she makes her ass clap like a round of applause. Cause that's so fat. I make it swollen and fat. She call me back, but I'm higher for that. I'd rather rip a track than when I leave the studio. I'm back up in there. You know that bomb got me super duper swole. That bomb got me. That bomb got me. That bomb got me in another world. That bomb got me. That bomb got me. That bomb got me in another world. In another world. In another world. That bomb got me in another world. In another world. In another world. That bomb got me. That bomb got me. I get that juice box sweat. Make the jukebox sweat. Ain't been a gangster party like this since Tupac left. Honey showing booties. Cute cooties and dresses. Got me this. I said your ass was clueless. A scrub like TLC college. Like the drug. I'm a bomb. Holly, that bomb got me flying up in the galaxy. Lane like Hawaii, she keep coming like currency.
Currency is energy, y'all. Be positive. Yeah. That bomb got me in another world. Another world. Check my shit out on SoundCloud, Chris Chaos. I got a new album coming soon, new EP. A new EP called Dark Days, Bright Nights. Shout out to Sleepy J. He's been making all the beats for that one. This beat right here on this track that you just heard was from Luis Puente. Shout out to Homeboy. And it's a throwback track. You know, I've been doing this for years and years. I had to take a hiatus. But I've been putting in work. I've done concerts and shit, you know, shows. And God willing, when everything goes back to normal, we can do regular shows again. You know, we'll be doing that. Let me put a little throwback that I put on one episode right quick.
We on the block. In the trap, with a 40 and the shorty and the clock, get for good. We in the hood, our shit, it's understood. They call me King Kane, not being the same, but a little Mary Jane, I might maintain. Smoke on blue, purple haze, higher than Empire Stairs. Hate to win, them haters stare, but ladies jocking, I don't care. Go digging hoes, said fuck a rose. I wanna put you back in a bunch of dough. Hell nah, get fucked and go. Take your ass in your bag of clothes, now puff and troll. With my main squeeze, kick back with a sack of the sticky trees. I got eyes on my back, so I'm a tricky cheek. Get your ass laid back if you tricking me. Thank God I'm alive and not 6 feet deep. We're locked up, we lost creek. Hop up and box up, my niggas make your jaw crunch. Wrecking on the mic, but I'm down to knocking niggas fronts. Pass a cigarillo blunt, skip over the silly punch. Heard about me through your shorty, but you never see me once. Casually fly, the world's passing me by. I like to pass it and fly, make music and ride. You can call me skirt, super soaker on the chest, blowing super duper cess, tripping like a super trooper, quick to shoot you, oh yes, freaky like that Kama Sutra, enemy Kama con tu ruga, sweeter than Asuka, running from the fucking Huda on the block. In the trap, every 40 in the show. Washing like a mop, but do the line, I shoot, bang, bang. Bullets banging from the rooter to the tooth. I turn 'em up. You don't believe me? Ask fresher Uncle Suko. It's my fault. I wanna run up in the pit. I do. Yeah, I'm at the spot with Lil Smith and Lil Wesley. Gotta keep 'em with me, cause them haters love to test me. Squeezing different shots, if they don't like to see my chest beat. Protection may survive. I came with my vest. I am not rich, no full-time hustle. Okay, 24/7. I'm supplying all the custle. What you need? Right there on the block, right there up the blocks. Yeah, and I would never run. My work is in the pot. Yeah, but you know where my block's at. We shit with our Glock straps. Can't hang with no lanes because we kicking with high cats. So where your little spot?
Shout out to Lil Dre right there. Back in the day, G-Town, Texas, something you didn't believe it. Sorry, I'm getting excited, Joe. The other book I was reading that I keep talking about that I'm still reading is the Dolphins, ETs, and Angels. And there was a part in that book that really stuck out to me, and it was talking about how every time you open up a book and read something, it's for a reason. Now, a lot of times, like my cousin Sleepy J said, that's true with the Bible, but it's also true with other books. Open up Curious George, see if you weren't supposed to read that. No, just kidding. But I truly believe, you know, I mean, this book stuck out to me. All right. So, Kabbalistic, the beast, the dragon, the equinox of the gods of the magical pantheon of the new Aeon. The Aeon of Isis. So I guess that's it about the Age of Aquarius. The formula of the dying god. Even though the formula of the dying god became crystallized in the religions and institutions of the astrological age of Pisces, the Aeon of Osiris dawned much earlier. Oh shit. The advent of agricultural societies necessitated a greater awareness of the cycles of the season. Osirian-aged farmers began to recognize the effect sunlight, or lack of it, had upon vegetation. What's up, Doc? They observed that at certain times of the year, the days grew short and crops did not grow. It eventually became evident that even though the earth brought forth life, the supreme creative energy that vivified that life came from the sun. Coincidental with this discovery was a universal acknowledgement of the vital role men played in the procreative process. Just as plant life needed the warm, penetrating rays of sunlight to flourish, so too women needed the introduction of the male sperm to avoid being forever barren. The heretofore unrecognized concept of fatherhood became a dominant theme. The Aeon of Osiris truly began when our forebears raised their eyes to heaven and woke up to the fact that life on earth is partnership of sun and earth, and the life of the race was a partnership of man and woman. However, the partnership was not perceived as being equal, and as we learned in our discussion of the astrological age of Taurus, the male backlash was severe and unmerciful. Deity was now male, a father, and his power was likened to that of the sun. Even though this shift of consciousness was the result of a more accurate assessment of the facts of life than it was realized in the Aeon of Isis, it was not quite accurate enough. A defect in the perception of cosmological facts, our Osirian age ancestors into a dark and terrifying insecurity crisis that traumatized the human race so severely that we still suffer its effects. Page 111. What is 111? Let's look that up real quick, okay? Because when you see the angel number 111, and I see it a lot. I see a lot of angel numbers. The number 111 is a very powerful angel number. The number, I'm just gonna go back to the little part. is a signifies manifesting and manifestation of thoughts into reality. So I manifest to everybody that watched this as a wonderful day, weekend, life. Bless up. So the fundamental flaw in understanding caused us to switch our focus from the mystery of where life comes from to an obsessive preoccupation with death. The tragic misunderstanding focused on the belief that each day the sun was born at dawn in the east and died in the evening in the west. Speculations abounded about where the dead sun went during the darkness of night, and if indeed a new one would ever appear again in the east. Perhaps it went into the land of the dead, where we temporarily visit during our nightly little death of sleep. The terrors and ecstasies of our dreams form the archetypes of heaven and hell. And after we die, who better to judge our worthiness for either place than the dead sun itself, who created and sustained us during our stay on earth. This is precisely the part that god Osiris would play in Egyptian mythology and Christ's role in Christianity.
R.I.P. DJ Crew and R.I.P. Yeah.
Sipping on sleep, smoking in the good. I don't give a damn. I don't.
Heavy shit.
Growing up a young buck,
I never gave a fuck.
Smoking weed in the air,
Skipping school during lunch.
went from lines to that white.
Gonna promote this.
Puffing on the blunt. Call it what you want, but I don't ever fucking front. I remember it all
Like it was only last month.
6th grade fighting
With an 8th grade and no punk, blueberry and some skunk.
I ain't fucking with no junk. Been a rider since before I even knew to pop the trunk. What it do, what you want. If it's nothing, move around. I ain't throw as hell with
I
it.
ain't-
Cool to
yeah,
act a clown.
yeah.
Popped a couple pills.
Alright, forgot about my words, y'all.
So much damn drink, you might think I fucking drown. Hey, don't make a sound, shut the fuck up. Let them vibrations shake the neighborhood, wake them up. Making bucks, not much, but I'm getting by, broken shit, mad as fuck. So I'm steady getting high, cause I'm so.
Sipping on sleep, smoking in the good. Sipping on sleep, smoking in the good.
That's my voice right there. Screw. R.I.P. DJ Screw.
I be sipping on some Sprite mixed in with the lean. Popped a couple codeine, hydro, daydream like I did in high school. Now I'm tripping up in college. I'm here to get some brain cause I heard that it was knowledge on herb. In a couple of mo, I got some real good herb and a couple Patron cause I'm so.
Sipping on sleep, smoking in the good. Sipping on sleep, smoking in the good. Sipping on sleep, smoking in the good. I don't give a damn. I don't give a fuck.
Got my cup, yeah, I'm sipping codeine. People hating cause I'm stacking my green. Always sporting my dicky gin. I'm buffing, I'm running, drinking, I cannot inhibit that much just when my voice up that motherfucking sonic. My flow's hypnionic, ain't no just, ain't no peace. Fuck the police, don't get fit than me. Cause your female was next to me and she wanted my ecstasy. We started with a joint and went to
Tennessee.
Girl want to chuck it out, world.
That's my cousin, no.
For your boy, no, we aka
Cheesy. The hang. Never change. Not to kill the pain. Wet line.
Homie, get lean on my cup, fill it to the top. If I feel it, bitch, get them off. Save as much as you can, cause the syrup that I got had to whoop that motherfucking hot.
Yo. Happy Friday, y'all. Alright, so let's move on. Okay? That one's getting kind of dark. And it's just talking about some other stuff, but I found it kind of interesting. I'm just going to read one more thing about this book. It says, angels. The apparent descent of spirit into matter is just an illusion of digressive defects in perception, a cascade of consciousness, each level forgetful of the level just above it. This is going all over my head, bro. Initiatory landmarks such as knowledge, the knowledge and conversation of the holy guardian angel aren't steps upon a ladder. Rather, they are shifts of consciousness, awakenings. You could say the rest of the universe has already pulled its act together and is just waiting for you to wake up to the fact. Damn. That's beautiful. Okay. So this book right here is called A Treatise on White Magic by Alice A. Bailey, and it's a cool looking book. It has one of those old covers. I don't know when it was published. In New York, published. Whoa. The copyright is from 1934, and I believe this is the 6th edition, which was printed in 1956. Okay, so it's an interesting book. You know, last time I was going through it, it was I was just like randomly picking stuff, like the nervous structure, coordinating, correlating, and producing an outer inner group activity demonstrates primarily through the 3 parts of the nervous system. A, the cerebrospinal system, B, the sensory system of nerves, and C, peripheral system of nerves. It is closely associated. Okay, this is man's 3 aspects. One of the main means whereby man arrives at an understanding of the great sum total we call the macrocosm, God, functioning through a solar system, is by an understanding of himself and the Delphic injunction, man know thyself, was an inspired utterance intended to give man the clue to the mystery of deity. Through the law of analogy or correspondences, the cosmic processes and the nature of the cosmic principles are indicated in the function, structure, and characteristics of a human being. They are indicated but not explained or elaborated. They serve simply as signposts, directing man along the path whereon future signposts may be found, excuse me, and more definite indications noted. The comprehension of that triplicity of spirit, soul, and body, spirit, soul, body, so the spirit and the soul are separate, lies as yet beyond man's achievement, but an idea as to their relationship and their general coordinating function may be indicated by a consideration of man from the physical side and its objective functioning. Period. Sorry. There are 3 aspects of man's organism which are symbols and symbols only. Those are 3 aspects of being. 1, the energy or activating principle, which withdraws mysteriously at death, partially withdraws in the hours of sleep or of unconsciousness, and which seems to use the brain as its main seat of activity, and from there to direct the functioning of the organism. This energy has a primary direct relation with the 3 parts of energy of the organism, which we call the brain, the heart, and the breathing apparatus. This is the microcosmic symbol of spirit. Whoa. Very interesting. Number 2, the nervous system, with its complexities of nerves, nerve centers, and that multiplicity of interrelated and sensitive parts which serve to coordinate the organism to produce the sensitive response which exists between the many organs and parts of which the organism as a whole, which form the organism as a whole. Let's see, the 3 parts of the nervous system. It in turn is motivated by and controlled by 2 factors: the sum total, the energy, which is the individual quota of vital energy, the energy of the environment in which the individual finds himself and within which he has to function and to play his part. This coordinated nervous system, this network of interrelating and sensitive nerves, is the symbol in man of the soul and an outer invisible form of an inner spiritual reality. That kind of went over my head, guys. Number 3, there's finally what might be described as the body, the sum total of flesh, of muscle, and of bone, which the man carries around, correlated by the nervous system and energized by what we vaguely call his life. In these 3, the life, the nervous system, and the body mass, we find the reflection in the symbol of the greater whole, and by a close study of these and a comprehension of their functions and group relation, we can arrive at an understanding of some of the laws and principles which direct the activities of God and nature. A phrase sublimely true and equally finitely false. The three aspects of divinity, the central energy or spirit, the coordinating force or soul, and that which these two use and unify, are in reality one vital principle manifesting in diversity. These are the three in one, the one in three, God in nature and nature itself in God. Interesting. Whew. I'm probably too high for this shit, y'all. Let me see, where did I have highlighted? I was on rule 10 for some reason. Because there's rules. And it talks about vibrations. Let's see. Okay, the effect of the heightening of the vibration on you, the aspirant, may manifest in various ways also. It may result in bodily fatigue, and this must be dealt with not so much by sleep and by rest, though a just proportion of them is necessary, but above all by a change of vibration, of recreation, and of amusement. Secondly, it results frequently in a profound depression and an utter sinking of the heart as the future is faced. Face that future, however, and remember that what the future holds is not revealed, but that joy cometh in the morning. It results also in a sensitiveness of the astral body that is perhaps even more hard to bear. This must be dealt with by the individual as best as he may, bearing in mind the suggestions that I have given him. It results also in a permanent stimulation of the atoms in the various vehicles and their coherent, stabilized vibration. It lifts a little nearer to the goal, though perhaps the aspirant may not realize it. Everything depends upon the pupil's ability to grasp the inner meaning of all events. His entire progress upon the path rests upon his attitude in making the teaching his own. It is only as we transmute the lessons on the inner planes into practical knowledge that they become part of our own experience and are no longer theoretical. Expansion of consciousness should be an ever increased practical experience. Sorry, I'm gonna read that correctly because it's increasing. Expansion of consciousness should be an ever increasing practical experience. Theories are of no value until we have changed them into fact. Hence the value of meditating on an ideal. In the meditation, our thoughts vibrate temporarily to the measure of the conception, and in time that vibration becomes permanent. Those who, with open eyes, enter on a quote training need indeed to count the cost. The reward at the end is great, but the path is rough and the true occultist walks it alone. The capacity to stand alone, to assume responsibility, and then to carry all through single-handedly, and to brave evil for the sake of the good achieved, is the mark of a white brother. Be prepared then for loneliness, for dangers of a dim and obscure character, and expect to see your life spent for no reward that touches the personality. It is only as the consciousness expands and one finds one true position in the cosmic whole that the reward becomes apparent. But cease from fear and know that the personality is only temporary. And what matter if it suffered? Some good gain for the universal brotherhood, some law explained and demonstrated in the life of every day may make the master say eventually, yes, eventually after all is over, well done. Let your eyes therefore look straight on. Turn not to the right hand nor to the left. The path leads upward and on to greater rapidity of vibration and to greater sensitiveness. Seek the point of balance in your work and keep that balance. For the years hold much work, much pressure, and much suffering. This is what stood out. Are you strong enough to see the world's woe, to see disaster, and yet keep joyful? Can you be a partner in the work of furthering the evolution of the race and see the necessity for trouble and for discipline, and yet not move to stem the tide of sorrow? Peaked and tried souls are being trained all over the world at the present time. The masters are overwhelmed with the work and their time is overoccupied. They give what they can, but on the individual aspirant depends the use made of that which is given. Very, very interesting, y'all. Very interesting. In the hands of those of our earth humanity who have equipped themselves so as to serve. This is rule 10 still. Rule 10 is long. This is random. I'm just spitting some random shit. Let's begin with the past. About the year 1400, the hierarchy of masters was faced with a difficult situation. As far as the work of the second ray was concerned, which had to do with the impartation of spiritual truth, there had come to be what I might call a complete exterioration of that truth. The activity of the first ray had also brought an intense differentiation and crystallization among the nations and governments of the world. These two conditions of concrete orthodoxy and political differences persisted for many generations and are still manifesting. Today we have a similar condition both in the world of religion and in that of politics. This is true whether one is considered India or America, China or Germany, or whether one is studying the history of Buddhism with its many sects, Protestantism with its myriads of warring groups, or the many schools of philosophy in the Orient or the Occident. The condition is widespread and the public consciousness tremendously diversified, but this state of affairs marks the summation of the period of separateness and the end, before so many centuries of this intense distinctiveness of thought. After noting and watching this trend of affairs for another 100 years, the elder brothers of the race called a conclave of all departments about the year 1500 AD. Their object was to determine how to urge the integration, which is essentially the keynote of our universal order, could be hastened, and what steps could be taken to reduce that synthesis and unification in the world of thought, which can make possible the manifestation of the purpose of the divine life which had brought all into being. When the world of thought is unified, then the outer world will fall into a synthetic order. It should be remembered here that the masters think in large terms and work in the wider cycles of evolutionary endeavor. The tiny and temporary cycles, the small ebb and flow of the cosmic processes, do not engage their attention in the first instance. At this conclave, they had three things to do: to view the divine plan on as large a scale as possible and refresh their minds with the vision. Number 2, to note what influences or energies were available for use in the large endeavor to which they were pledged. Number 3, again, these are the three things that the elder brothers did in 1500. To train the men and women who were then probationers, chelas, and initiates, so that in due time they could have a satisfactory band of assistants on whom they could in future centuries rely. They had in connection with these aspirants two problems. The first problem was that they had to deal with the failure on the part of even the most advanced disciples to preserve continuity of consciousness, a failure even now manifested by even initiates. And then the second issue that they had, the masters found the minds and brains of chelas curiously insensitive to the higher context. And this again is a condition which still prevails. So some people are just insensitive. Some people are hypersensitive. Some people open up their sensitivity to the universe messages through meditation, through knowledge, through learning. I hold it down. Y'all, I might end this with a freestyle because it's a special occasion. I might just give y'all a little freestyle. So, you know, this book is amazing. If you can get a hold of it, go ahead and look for it. Again, it's The Treatise on White Magic by Alice A. Bailey from the Lose Kiss Publishing Company. Wait, there's a, let me see what's this bookmark right here. Heart from the present age and the future. Thus we have seen the place that the tiny sentient unit employed by an individual human being plays in relation to the great whole. We have noted the various forms which astral evolution assumes. We have also recorded some of the sources from which astral energy comes. Okay. We call it the love of God. It is indeed. Oh wait, this stream of living energy can nevertheless be sensed in a large way. though not as yet appropriated in its pure essence. We call it the love of God. It is indeed that free-flowing, outgoing, magnetically attractive force which leads each pilgrim home to the Father's house. It is that force which stirs in the heart of humanity and finds expression through the medium of world avatars, through the mystical yearning found in every human being, through all movements that have for their objective the welfare of humanity, through philanthropic and educational tendencies of every kind, and in the natural world so-called through the instinct of protective motherhood. But it is essentially a group sentiency, and only in the coming Aquarian age will its true nature find correct understanding and right appropriation. The Age of Aquarius. That's what we were talking about from this book. Synchronicities. This was not planned. I touch on here as it is one of the factors to be considered. Only those, however, whose hearts are open and lifted up unto the Lord will know whereof I speak. It's interesting because a lot of Christians try to make magic seem negative. But this book about magic is basically just talking about vibrations, energy, loving God. And we could take away a lot from that, you know. Thank you, Vino, for buying these books. It's really cool, man. All right, let's see what the instrumental is. I don't like that one. I mean, I like it, but it's not the one. What's this? Alright. See, I think this is an instrumental. Shout out to Louis Beats. Okay. Yo, I'm higher than a satellite. I'm feeling super tight. I'm taking super flight. SpaceX, I'm feeling right. I'm in that super night. I see the stars above. People hate, but they don't really got the slug. Man, I be blowing on that bud and get my mind right. Peace and love I send out to the universe. Sometimes I know it hurts, but baby girl, look to God and pray first. Before you take your life, before you take theirs. But I'ma keep on going up into the stairs of the universe, into the fourth dimension. And do I mention my name is Chris Chaos? Hit me on that Instagram. Damn, hit me on that Twitter, Chris Chaos 420. I got plenty flows. Yeah. Thank God for tuning in again. Peace, love, and happiness. Positivity everywhere, baby.